Welcome to the Realtor Who Wines podcast. I'm Rashelle Neumeier, your hostess with the mostest, a student of life, a connector, a passionate wine enthusiast, and your local favorite guide. Join me as we explore the vibrant Pacific Northwest, savor the finest wines, and champion the spirit of entrepreneurship. Each episode, I'll sit down with inspiring guests, supporting business ownership, and uncovering the stories that make this community unique. So grab a glass of wine, settle in, and let's embark on a journey of discovery and connection together. Cheers! Well, Steve, I am really excited to talk to you today because you have been in the wine industry for such a tenured time, making wine. I also like your backstory. By the way, thank you for your service to our country.
Yeah.
I know that you served in the Army.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, so thank you for that. I would like to start by cheersing to you. Should we cheers?
With the spark?
With this white wine. Good idea. Cheers.
Cheers. So before we move on to that, do you know why we say cheers?
No, do tell me.
All right. So I don't know if this is the real reason, but
Okay.
I was on a wine trip, traveling up the Rhine and the Mosel and the Saar rivers, and stopped in, I think it was Rudesheim, and visited a winery. And of course, there was a bunch of tourists there, and so it was crowded. So we got put into a group tasting and toured the cellar, and we're sitting down, and the wines are being poured, and the person giving the tour is this barrel-chested individual. I forget his name, but I guess he sung opera at the local opera house. So he had this big booming voice, and he had a story. And he said, cheers. And then he asked, do you know why we say cheers? And everyone says, no. That's an interesting question. So, everyone looks at the wine and appreciates the color and the clarity. And there's all kinds of things that you can determine from the wine just by looking at it. And then you smell the wine, so your nose gets to appreciate it. You put it in your mouth and you taste it and you appreciate the sensation and the flavor and everything, but the ears are left out. Cheers.
Cheers.
Don't forget the ears.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. Thank you for sharing
I've been sharing that around the world.
I love that.
That
That's
I can,
amazing.
don't forget the ears. Cheers.
I'm going to start saying that. I love that so much. Please introduce yourself to everybody.
Yes. So as you called me by name, my name is Steve Anderson. Been the winemaker here since January of 2000, but I had some tenure prior to that. I started October 3rd, 1993 at 3:15 p.m.
Oh my gosh.
The story for such a detailed time period. I was supposed to start at 3. I lived in Corvallis at the time, so it's a 30-mile drive, and I showed up originally that morning at 8 a.m. to start a completely different job. I was going to take over as the vineyard manager for the outgoing vineyard manager. And I showed up that morning at 8 a.m. to start my new duties and train with the outgoing vineyard manager. It's October, so it was harvest. And it was decided that he was no longer going to leave.
Oh.
And so I didn't have a job. The vineyard manager is the younger brother of our founder, Tom Huggins. And so while I was making preparations to start my new career right out of college, that job went away. So as I'm leaving the building 1 minute later, 8:01, the winemaker's coming to work, and he asked me, where are you going? And I go, well, I'm going home. What do you mean? Well, I don't have a job. What do you mean? He was unaware of the decision that was suddenly made. Says, well, if you need a job, he knew my situation. I'll get to that in a second. You can come back and work the night shift. I need more staff. You can do juice analysis and help process fruit. And here's the kicker, the background. When your wife goes into labor, you can just drop whatever bucket you're holding and take
And
off.
go. Yeah.
So my wife was 8.5 months pregnant when I was originally hired to take over as vineyard management. So I spent 2 weeks getting my affairs in order, bringing the mother-in-law into the house.
Sure. Yeah.
Making arrangements. And so I showed up that morning at 8 and didn't have a job. So started as cellar rat. A couple weeks later, I was approached and asked, hey, how would you like to be the assistant winemaker? We don't have one. And so that was in part, there was a couple of incidents in my favor. I was finishing up some lab work, went out to the crush line and noticed that they were putting Riesling into the press that was supposed to be Chardonnay. So I yelled out across the deck. Everything was really loud. All the air compressors and all the hydraulic pumps were screaming and all that stuff. So I yelled, hey, Rob. And he goes, what? And I go, what are you processing? And he goes, Chardonnay. And I go, no, you're not. So everything shuts down. And I'm looking around, and I offloaded the truck. So I know I put the Chardonnay here and the Riesling over there. And now everything's in a pile way over here.
Oh, no.
So our crew, not knowing the difference, just was
Put it all
putting
together.
grapes into the press.
Oh, gosh.
So I grab a cluster of Chardonnay and a cluster of Riesling, and I'm showing Rob, and he couldn't see the difference. And, I'm pointing out some of the details. And anyways, we ended up putting a little less than 10% Riesling into that press. We won a gold medal at the state fair the next year.
Oh, my gosh.
10% Riesling, which is allowed.
Yeah.
And the following year, Joe Dobbs, who was at Willamette at the time, he got a gold medal at the state fair for his Chardonnay with a 10% Riesling.
Oh, my
into it.
gosh.
So I think, Eola Hills, we are trendsetters, or at least we try to be.
Trailblazers. Yeah.
So that was incident one. Another one was like 2 o'clock in the morning. Our French Demoiselle D6 destemmer crusher stopped pumping. And so Rob says, oh, it's broken. Let's clean up. Let's go home. And I go, wait a minute. We still have truckloads of grapes we need to process. Why don't we try to fix it? He says, well, I don't know how to fix it. So I looked for a wrench and started taking it apart, and noticed that the flap of the flapper valve wasn't closing. There wasn't even opening. So I took it apart and realized, oh, the spring had broken on it. So I'm looking around in the toolboxes for springs, anything I could find. Couldn't find anything. And then I remembered, oh, wait a minute. There's a seat from the back of Tom, our founder's van. He had a Dodge Caravan, a family man that he had the seats out in the office, and he used it as our delivery van.
Oh, funny.
So I flipped that over. Hey, look at all those springs.
Yeah.
So I took the spring, I stretched it out, I put it in there, put it back, and we got through the night.
I love that.
So
Resourceful.
about 3 weeks later, harvest is done. Of the 80 original springs on that seat, there was about a dozen left.
Oh my gosh.
So I got really fast at taking that thing. So I got us through the harvest, and that's when I was like, you know what? You're pretty handy mechanically. You know the difference on site, the different varieties of fruit.
Right.
And that's when I became assistant winemaker.
Oh, my
So
gosh.
did that for 5 years. I actually left for a year and a half. I was hired away to make wine at a winery in Roseburg. As a problem solver, a fixer of some of their issues. And a year and a half later, I wasn't pleased. And the winemaker, who was my mentor, he'd left Eola Hills. And so the job opened up, and Tom approached me and said, how would you like to come back and make wine? I said, I'm in there.
Yeah.
So that was in December, and I started in January after New Year's of 2000.
Oh, my goodness. So then you've been here for 26 years then?
As the winemaker, with 5 years ahead of that.
Right.
And even that 18 months I was gone, I owned like 110 shares.
Oh, my goodness.
So 0.01%. So I like to say, even though I wasn't employed, I still had a solid, firm connection. 110 shares of 2 million
Still
outstanding. So
you still were part of the family.
Yes.
You started in wine, or like had an affection for wine really early. I was reading that you started with a bucket and a bunch of grapes. Can you talk about that a little bit?
That's a story that I often have to tell.
Yeah.
So you say an affection for wine, and it wasn't so much an affection for wine. People think, oh, a young person, a teenager, and they're wanting to make wine to get drunk. And that was not it. My introduction into wine was, I was, the kid of the 60s, 70s, and, you go outside and keep yourself entertained. So in the summertime, have breakfast, and I'd just be gone all day. And I would kind of feed myself by foraging, with the neighbor's blueberries, and of course blackberries are everywhere. And
Sure.
our neighbor had this grape arbor. So late summer, early fall, I'd always be over there helping myself true grapes. And one day she's like, hey, Steve, what are you doing? And I go, oh, I'm just eating some grapes. Oh, yeah, that's okay. That's fine. And somehow that morphed into a story about, when I was a kid, the whole family, we go pick grapes, and we go to grandma's and grandpa's, and, and the whole family would be making wine in the basement. And I remember going down the stairs, and there'd be jars and jugs of different colored things, bubbling along. And I thought that was really fascinating.
Yeah.
So I asked my mom if, and Patty was her name, she told me the recipe was, take a 5-gallon bucket of grapes and remove the stems, squish them up, add a 5-pound bag of sugar, a package of yeast, stir it all up, cover it with the plastic bag, and wait 6 weeks. I mean, that was a recipe.
Okay.
So I went home and come in through the back sliding door. And my mom's at the sink washing dishes and said, "Mom, can I make some wine?" And she goes,
What?
what the bleep for?
Yeah.
And I go, science
fun.
project.
Yeah.
I was really into, science and experimenting and
Sure.
building things and just for fun. And so I went back over to Patty's and got a 5-gallon bucket of grapes, rode my bike up to the store with my allowance to buy a 5-pound bag of sugar and a package of yeast. And I did all that work, filled the bucket up with water, put a plastic bag over it, covered it with a rubber band, secured it with a rubber band, and then put it in the corner behind the dining room table. I went to school the next day and came home from school, and that plastic bag had bloated up, and there was purple foam all over the white linoleum floor.
no.
Fortunately, bleach cleaned it up.
Oh, good.
So lesson number 1 is don't fill the bucket all the way full. You got to have room for the cap to rise
for it to
and for the
grow.
foam to not escape the
Yeah.
container. So 6 weeks later, I had a ferment, which I thought was done because I knew nothing about wine.
Sure.
No one told me you need to punch it down, and no one told me when a ferment was actually finished. So put it up on the table, had a piece of siphon hose that I got from the hardware store that I spent my allowance on, and was filling empty Crown Royal bottles. My parents and their friends were really into Crown at the time, so we had all these empty bottles.
Yeah.
So, it's got a cool cap, a cool shape.
Totally.
So I put the siphon hose in and I start my action, and then, of course, it gets in my mouth, spit it out, fill up the bottle. Oh, lost the siphon, have to do it again. So by the time I had all the bottles full and the bucket was empty, when I got up from the floor, I was just dizzy and tipsy. And that was my first experience with alcohol. And my mom was at the sink washing dishes again, and I go over to her and I'm holding my tummy and my head, and it's like, "Oh, Mom, I don't feel well. I'm really sick, I'm really dizzy." And she goes, "Well, what have you been doing?" And I go, "Well, I've been filling the wine bottles." And she just looks at me and starts laughing. "You're drunk."
Oh,
and I
my
go,
gosh.
"No, I'm not. I didn't drink any, I swear."
And how old were you too?
I was 13.
Yeah. Okay. That's
So I
funny.
stormed off, went to my
Yeah.
room, went to bed. I was fine.
Yeah. Slept it off.
Gave those bottles away at Christmas to my mom and all her friends and family, and they thought, "Wow, this is really good." It was sweet. It was pink. It was
Sure.
Concord grapes.
Yeah.
So it was like,
Yeah.
grape juice, that was sweet and sparkling, and in a Crown cap, a Crown Royal bottle had a screw cap, so it trapped the CO2, and so it became a command performance. "Oh, you're going to make more of that next year." Well,
Oh gosh.
blackberries get ripe in the summer, July, August, so I made blackberry wine as well, and that was the big hit. Then I graduated high school, went to college, stopped making wine because I didn't have.
Yeah.
I never thought it was going to be a career or a job, or I had no interest in drinking wine at the time. So that's how I got started.
I love that. So you said you kind of stopped and had no interest in like making wine. When did you develop the interest to make wine?
So yeah, that's a little more complex. So my college roommate, sophomore year, his parents live in France. His dad is an ex-Marine who married a French woman. So my roommate went to high school in France, in Paris, and then came back to Oregon to go to college, and that's how we met. So I had just gotten out of the service, joined the Army so I could pay for college, and he was going to go for the holiday break to France, and he says, "Hey, Steve, how'd you like to go with me to France for the Christmas break?" I said, "Yeah, that sounds lovely." I had a passport and I had never used it, so we did that and spent a couple days in Paris, and then went out to their country home in the Loire Valley near Montrechard and Amboise. And I was asked, "So do you like wine?" I go, "No, not really." And I can't tell the difference between red or white. If anything, I think maybe a white wine that's sweet, maybe Riesling.
Sure.
I've had a glass of wine.
Yeah.
College, I've had some.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and I didn't
You
even
dabbled.
really like beer a lot
Right.
at the time. So, so he goes, "I bet you can't tell the difference, or I can help you build an appreciation for it." And so I'm in this home with all this family that's French speaking, and only some of them spoke English. So he goes down in the basement, gets a bottle of red, a bottle of white, and blindfolds me. opens the bottles, pours them in the glass, hands them to me, and says, "Tell me which one's red, which one's white." So I smell it and I taste it, and I smell the other one and I taste it, and so I hold up the glass and I go, "I think this one's red and I think this one's white," and the whole room just breaks out laughing, a gut busting laugh, ha, silly American, silly American, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then they pulled the blindfold off, and I had it absolutely wrong. So what he had done, is went down in the cave, the cellar, and pulled out a Beaujolais. And that's the one I thought was white because it was soft and fruity and not very tannic.
Yeah.
And then he brought up this oaked, long-aged, cellar-aged Chardonnay from Merceau or something like that. And I thought that was the red because of the feel and the texture of it.
Yeah.
And so that right there was one of my first epiphanies that I didn't realize was one until later. That, well, I don't know what the epiphany was, but but I was wrong. And that, you could, have a soft red wine or a heavy red wine or a brooding white wine or a soft white wine. And so it's not so much the generic, Chardonnay is always like this and Pinot Noir is always like that,
right,
or Cabernet, there's a whole range of different wines. So
absolutely,
that was my first introduction. So we come home, and Scott and I, that was my roommate, we start drinking wine in the apartment. His dad came to visit that spring before summer and bought some wine for us and brought some wine for us. And, again, I wasn't really into the drinking scene, but
sure,
I started having an appreciation for wine and realized there's more to it than just Riesling that's sweet and white and soft.
Yeah, well, and there's more to it than just, unlike some different alcohols, like there's more to wine than just like pounding it to get drunk or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's like a whole experience with it and things like that. So and then what transpired once you started to like kind of find a slight interest in wine where you're like, I kind of want to learn more about this or become a winemaker? Like, when did that transition happen for you?
So time is passing. I graduate. I have a degree in horticulture from Oregon State. My career path that I thought I wanted to be on was to be a nurseryman.
Yeah.
So I was exploring, looking for jobs working in retail and wholesale nursery, and saw this job posting for a vineyard manager. So I checked that out and interviewed, and that's how I got hired. So ended up not getting the job as managing vineyards and agriculture, and was in the cellar. And my mentor, the winemaker here at the time, was really patient and really encouraged, experimentation and, let me do things and ask questions and answer. And so, trialing different yeast and experimenting with different grains of oak barrels, and just on and on and on and on. So for me, it wasn't so much the appreciation for wine as an alcoholic beverage as it's just a never-ending science project.
Totally.
So the appreciation for wine came with, look, I'm able to change the texture, the color, the complexity of Pinot Noir by the yeast we choose, and the temperature we ferment it at, and do we crush it or not crush it? Is it in a neutral oak barrel? Is it French? Is it American? Is it Hungarian? Is it tight green, loose green, 1-year-old, 2-year-old? The permutations are endless.
Totally. That's actually one reason why I wanted to start the podcast, because there's just so much that goes into winemaking, and I just really wanted to share that story. And that sometimes, especially because we live in wine country here in Oregon, that people don't realize how much work or how many people had to like help make that one bottle of wine. And instead they're like $40 or $70 or $120. And it's like, you just don't even understand like all the time and energy that went
into. And why is Oregon
that
more expensive than somewhere else, etc. So So for me, the winemaking side of it, like I said, it's just a never-ending, science project that just, keeps me interested.
Yeah. How much do you get to have as the winemaker impact on the crops itself? Like, do they seek your expertise? Do you help with all the crops, or like talking about like, we should plant this varietal, different things like that? Like, do you get to weigh in on that? Or
great segue, because I was just going to say, to your previous comment a second ago, that a lot of people, give credit to the winemaker. Oh, such a great winemaker, you make great wine. Well, I mean, there's the cliche that, it's it's really easy to make great wine from great grapes. It's really hard to make great wine from inferior grapes. So you got to have quality grapes.
Yeah.
And I'm not out in the field pruning and thinning in spring. We have a vineyard crew, a vineyard manager to do that. So I really want to give here as well a lot of credit to our vineyard manager, Antonio, and his crew, and my assistant winemaker, and our crew for making wine.
Yeah, because it's a team
I'm
project.
the responsible party, and if something screws up, it's it's on me.
Right.
But I think now with 30 plus years experience, I've seen a lot of the problems and very few new ones come up. But anyways, I just wanted to give a shout out to all the crew that
Absolutely.
is below and around and under me. So back to your question, yes, I do have a lot of influence. I consult with our vineyard manager all the time about different blocks. We're going to taste some Pinots here in a minute that's from a single vineyard, but are managed slightly different. And we can talk about the differences on those in just a moment. So yes, crop load, clone, rootstock, when we're planting new vineyards, it's like, what clones do we want? And what rootstock should we put on? And is that a vertical trellis? Is it a single wire flop? Is it a all of that, and the vine spacing, and tons per acre, or pounds per vine, or
Right. And then do you also have any, do you and Antonio talk about harvest? Like, let's go ahead and get those grapes off there.
Oh, continually.
Right. Yeah.
So a question I get asked here, and this is going to be a bit of a diversion. What's your favorite wine? So my smartass answer is the wine in my glass. That's my favorite wine.
Yeah.
And my second favorite wine is the wine I didn't have to pay for.
Oh, yeah. I like both those answers.
And so I will then turn it to, I don't have so much a favorite wine. I have favorite varieties, red and white, but my favorite wine to make, that's probably the better leading question, is Pinot Gris. And the reason for that, it ties right into that communication with the vineyard manager, etc. So we have many clones of Pinot Gris on several different rootstocks. So we'll have 146, but I've got 3 different rootstocks. So there's 3 blocks there, and they all ripen or mature at slightly different times. So there's enough to make, 30,000 gallons of wine from all the crop that we grow, all 100% estate grown. And it all matures at different times. So I need to be in close communication to pick this one block, before it gets overripe and I lose the acid, or before this one gets too much sugar, or before, the balance is off between the pH and the acid. So we're picking different crops at different times, and it may take 3 weeks to get all the Pinot Gris in as juice. So then once I have the juice, and I don't have enough tanks to keep everything separate, so it gets blended together, but I will split that juice into 3 tanks, and then I can use 3 different yeasts.
Oh.
So one yeast gives me the perfumey esters, the other one gives me the fruity thiols, and another yeast actually eats some malic acid while it's converting sugar to alcohol, which lowers the acidity and raises the pH. And so when you put that all together, you get this nice perfumey, flowery, aromaed wine that has a nice fruity flavor that's still bright without being mouth-strippingly acidic.
If you're thinking about making a lifestyle upgrade, maybe wine country, acreage, grape fuse, or do you want to go downtown? Let's talk. Either way, I want to help you level up. Reach out now and we'll make your dreams come true.
A lot of decision making, a lot of risk assessment going on, and making sure, because if you wait 3 days, then you may have lost some acid in that fruit, or it's overripe, you got sugar and your alcohol is too high, or your alcohol is too low. So got to have some experience, and
How many different varieties of grapes do you guys grow?
Not a question I have, or not the solid number. So we got Pinot Noir, Pinot Gris, Chardonnay, Cab, we do have a little bit of Cab, Müller-Thurgau, some Muscat Attenelle, Sauvignon Blanc, Maréchal Foch, Gewürztraminer, Riesling.
And then do you source grapes from anywhere else, or do you only
we do get Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot from the Applegate Valley.
Okay.
I get some Tempranillo from the Umpqua Valley.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then does Tom have any, do you guys all meet together and make decisions together, or does he kind of just let you and Antonio do your thing?
He lets Antonio and I
do your thing.
Do our thing. Yeah. He's not completely removed from the equation.
Sure.
And obviously, we communicate, this is what we're doing, this is what we've decided, and things like that. But now having, 30 years under my
Totally,
belt,
yeah.
and Antonio being
The
here for
trust is-
25 years.
Oh, that's amazing.
He was the vineyard manager who didn't leave. He was his assistant. So when Jim retired, Antonio took over as managing the vineyard and the crew and responsible for all the plantings and
Sure.
maintaining and everything.
I think that's a testament to the business itself to have two people in such substantial roles that have stayed for such a long time. That just really goes to show the business itself and the heart at the business, which I think speaks volumes.
Yeah, we gelled together well as a team and can anticipate what everyone needs now.
Yeah. Well, how many different varieties do you guys currently offer in the bottle?
All of those that I just mentioned.
Right.
So
and then are any of them blends or any, like, do you have any?
Well, we do have a rosé, which is an assemblage. We have a red, which is an assemblage as well. Pinot Noir, we have our classic for distribution, the stuff you find in every retail shop. We also have our barrel select, the winemaker's reserve, a vineyard designate. We have another vineyard designate that is a field blend of clones. The other one's a single clone. Then we have our Pinot Noir Rosé. Then on Pinot Gris, we just have the singular Pinot Gris. There's no reserve of it as well. Then we have our Sauvignon Blanc, some Riesling. Don't do a Gewürztraminer per se. We do grow some. I bottle it, and we do private label for different entities. We'll make wine for example, Blue Heron and Timberline Lodge. When you have those branded labels, that is Eola Hills Wine with their label that they then sell at their retail establishment. So they can sell Gewürztraminer, and so we make it for them.
That's cool. So since you've been doing this for 26 years, making the wine, do you stick with the same recipes or do you ever vary a little bit? I mean, I know sometimes it's going to change because
so the
of
never-ending
grapes and
science
things.
project,
Right? Yeah.
People ask about yeast all the time, and I just mentioned just 3 choices for one variety, and unfortunately, I can't just throw those 3 all together in a tank because there's competitive factors. So each tank needs its own individual yeast, and I know some wineries like to just do native ferments. Given the size that we are, for me, Real Hills, that can be risky. If you're doing a 10,000 gallon tank and you do a native ferment and for some reason something goes wrong, you're stuck with 10,000 gallons of something that needs to be fixed or sold bulk to somebody else rather than bottled. So I don't take that risk. I inoculate. So the next question is, where do you get your yeast from? Well, I ordered it. It's from a catalog.
Yeah.
So there's many manufacturers, there's many distributors, and they all have descriptions. And so I'm constantly trialing yeast. So kind of my protocol will be is I'll order a 500 gram or half kilo pack of yeast that has a great, wonderful description. So I'll try it in a ferment of red. And if it turns out great, next year I'll buy 2 packs of that yeast and I'll repeat it in the same lot that I had previously before. And I'll try it in something else and see if it translates. And if it does, and I really like it, then it may become part of my normal cadre of yeast. So whites, so Sauvignon Blanc, here's a classic one. So when Tom and his founding group first planted Oak Grove in 1982, they planted some Sauvignon Blanc. And the vineyard was a former wheat field. So it's longer than it is wide. So they planted the rows for the length, making it easier to manage. But it was planted east-west, so only one side of the canopy got sun, and he did it in a split trellis. So the south side got sun all day long, where the north side got very little sun. So literally half the vineyard, one row, would ripen and the other would still be green. So what was decided to mitigate that was, well, we would pick the riper side, and then 2 weeks later pick the other side. And that seemed to be helpful. As it turned out, it was better to let the one side get overripe and let the other side almost get ripe and pick it all together, and it had a better balance. So that was one. But 2, here's where the yeast comes in. We were trialing yeast, and I had discovered this one yeast that was fantastic. It really elevated the fruit and brought out the characters that we wanted. Well, 2 years later, we bulldozed out that Sauvignon Blanc because of phylloxera and replanted it. So it takes 4 years from the time you plant a grapevine till you get your first crop. So we were out of Sauvignon Blanc for 4 years, but I had remembered that yeast. So when it was time to ferment the new grape juice from Sauvignon Blanc, I brought that yeast back, and it was even better because we had a better clone on rootstock with this yeast. So if I hadn't trialed yeast trying to find the right one to fix a problem in the vineyard, I might not have ever discovered that yeast and had such a wonderful thing. So Sauvignon Blanc is one of our better wines, and 3 years in a row, it's gotten 90 or better, and in a trade magazine. So somebody else likes it too.
Yeah,
somebody other than me.
I love that. You guys are getting ready to celebrate 40 years in business. What is some of the biggest changes that you've seen or growing pains? So obviously you've scaled over the years. You didn't always start at the size that you are right now. What are some growing pains that you've learned from as you guys have scaled?
Fabulous question. My mind is racing because it's an easy, simple question with a complex answer. So yes, when I started here in 93, where we're sitting, this was the winery. I mean, the tanks, and we only had 40 barrels in here. The bottling line was in here. Behind the wall here was an awning where we kept our crush equipment and a couple of other tanks. So we were less than 20,000 cases production. Well, I don't even remember exactly how many, but at our peak, I think it was 2015, 2017, we had a bumper crop. We harvested all the fruit, and we eventually bottled 80,000 cases of wine from that vintage. So I like to say typically we're a 50,000 case production winery, most of it for FOB through distribution for retail. But it's not COVID, but just leading up to and through COVID and the change and shift in generation and buying habits, we've scaled down, not because of anything we wanted to do, just because of
the demand of the
demand and the economy and all that change. We're back to a 20,000 case winery, but we have enough acres of vines to produce 45,000 cases of wine. So I don't know if this is the direction you intended the question to go. So we're struggling. I'm advocating to our board of directors that I think we need to remove about 100 acres of vines to come back into correction, because even if we had a 30% growth and sustained it for 4 years, we would come back to where we once were. So I think we need to make a change and maybe not produce so much for distribution, figure out how to get more direct to consumer. How do we grow our wine club? I mean, these are questions we've been asking ourselves for a decade, 2 decades. But we need to figure it out.
Well, and you're not alone in that. That's been a common theme, especially in the last few years, that the younger generation just isn't consuming as much, or when they do, it's just like a glass at a time or maybe a bottle, versus I'm an elderly millennial. So my generation was like, we'll take the case. Like, why wouldn't we buy the whole case? That makes sense. And so I can only imagine that that's a pain point, and just trying to figure out how to rise to that pain and like overcome it. Some wineries I've noticed are starting to do non-alcoholic wine. Is that anything that you guys have considered?
We've thought about it.
Yeah. It's just another like option to add. But yeah, it's just one of those things that as the market changes and as consumerism changes, it's like, well, what do we do? I also I love wine. Obviously, I'm a huge ambassador of it. But part of the reason I wanted to start the podcast was to add more story behind it and get people more interested in it and just like learning about it, and maybe going out and coming to Eola Hills after watching this episode or hearing it and wanting to try it out for themselves. So that's why I wanted to share everybody's stories, because I don't want to see the wine industry start to get smaller and smaller.
Yeah. There's currently a lot of consolidation and just removal of vines and wineries. So prior to our recording, I mentioned, so yes, we are celebrating 40 years of business as a winery. And then there's 4 years prior to that, from the vineyard. So the vineyard was planted originally, and then because of a lack of wineries to absorb that fruit, Tom started Eola Hills Wine Cellars. to make wine from that fruit. But the drinking age generation today, the newcomers, I like to say, they're not drinking wine like mom and dad or grandpa used to.
Yeah, for sure.
There's so many more choices, ready to drink cocktails, spirits. Right. COVID really helped advance that shift because now you can order things online. I know not so much spirit, at least not in Oregon.
Yeah.
But nationwide, you just, it's like, wow, I used to buy brand X, and now that online presence has really shown that there's hundreds of choices.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and it's not just wine, and it's not just beer and cider. It's
everything.
It's everything.
Speaking of which, not all of our listeners are in Oregon. We have people that listen from all over. How would somebody, if they don't live in Oregon, get a hold of a bottle of Eola Hills? Can they order online?
You can order online due to shipping rules and regulations.
Sure.
Some states we can ship to, and some states we can't. And so that's online. If you were to go to Eola Hills winery.com, look it up, click on the Buy Now button, it would ask, what state are you in? And the state that doesn't allow shipping, then we can't.
Then plan a trip. We would love to showcase you and host you.
Fly Alaska Airlines.
Yes,
Wine flies free.
Yep, absolutely.
Our Oregon Wine Advisory Board has, worked with them, and so you can check on a case of wine and not have to pay extra for it.
Yeah, and they'll take good care of it.
Yes,
and make sure it arrives. And then if you do live local, but you're not here in the Valley, can people buy wine at the grocery store, any kind of liquor stores?
Yep. Having been around for 40 years, being one of the larger wineries in Oregon, we're in just about every retail location. Maybe not every single SKU of our wine.
Yeah, but
Pinot Noir, Pinot Gris, Chardonnay, we're in Albertsons, Fred Meyer, Safeway, even Plaid Pantry.
Right. Yeah.
We're everywhere.
So there's no reason
not to be able to have our wine. And a lot of restaurants have our higher end wines, by the bottle, by the glass as well.
Yeah. And just to give frame of reference for anyone that doesn't know, we are just outside of Salem, not too far, about 20 minutes west of Salem. Would you say?
Not even that. We're 10 miles west of Salem.
Okay. There you go.
On the corner of Highway 99 and Highway 22.
I definitely recommend coming out to the tasting room. It's beautiful. They also host events out here, very large space. So.
And we also have our vineyard venue, our legacy vineyard. We do summer concerts on the lawn out there all summer long. Great place if you're having a wedding, reception, or
and where's that
reunion.
And where's that located?
So that is in the Eola Amity Hills. So that's between Salem and Rickrell. Our vines are all in the Eola Hills, Eola Amity Hills AVA.
Yeah. I would love to transition and talk about the different Pinots that we have today. So well, first we started with the bubbles.
Yep.
Is there anything you want to say about the bubbles or share about the bubbles?
So leading up to this, you were asking, what kind of wines would you like?
Yeah.
So I kind of did the sparkling. It's always a good entry wine, reception, both for us.
I love bubbles.
And your parties or celebrating. So the one that I poured for you today, I call it Blanc de Blancs. My marketing team doesn't like that because they... Blanc de Blanc out of France is usually Chardonnay.
Yeah.
And so I call it Blanc de Blancs because this is actually a 75-25 Pinot Gris Sauvignon Blanc. So we grow a lot of Pinot Gris, and I mentioned earlier we don't have a reserve of it. I guess this would be my reserve. I sparkle it. It is a method traditionnel. It's sparkled in the bottle. It's champagne, just not made in the Champagne region of France. So we pick it, ferment it dry, add some sugar, some yeast. I'm targeting about 5 atmospheres of pressure. That's 75 psi. And it's 6 to 8 months in tirage. That's where we're letting the yeast eat that extra sugar and turn it into CO2. Then we riddle it to get the yeast on point, and we disgorge it. Give it a little bit of sugar, a little bit of acid to balance it out. And put a champagne cork and a wire hood and and a label, and it's ready to go. So we do completely in-house. I mean, we grow the grapes, we ferment the wine, we
it's delicious.
We cork and cage it.
Yeah.
100% in-house, and this is one of our most popular varieties. But I do a Pinot Noir Rosé, a Chardonnay, varietal sparkling, and we do this Blanc de Blancs. I do a Müller-Thurgau as a sparkling. In a demi-sec, so if you want some sweet sparkling wine, Müller-Thurgau. And then I do a novelty one where we take Marshall Foch, which is one of just a handful of grapes where the flesh is actually colored. So even if you try to treat it gently, the juice comes out dark.
Right.
And so we call it black bubbles, or I call it black bubbles, because it's a really dark black wine that is sparkling.
I've noticed that there has been more Marshall Foch throughout the valley in probably the last 10 years. Not like everybody grows it, obviously, but it's becoming more and more. It's popping up more.
You'll find the wineries that have been around for a while have Foch in their vineyards. So back in the 90s when the rains used to start late September and in October, and as a winemaker and a vineyard manager, we had to worry about, picking between rainstorms and is it going to rot? Is it going to get ripe?
Right.
So the growers and the wineries planted a few, rows or acres of Foch as something that we could blend into Pinot Noir to help us enhance the color in a year where it may be weak. I haven't put Foch into Pinot Noir for over a decade.
Oh.
So now what do? I've got three acres of Marshall Foch, and it's like Gewürztraminer for me. I find it hard to sell. People can't pronounce it. So they don't know what it is, and they're not willing to buy it. So I said, well, why don't we just make it into sparkling wine so that it becomes a novelty, and you just sell it as a sparkling red wine.
Yeah.
And so...
even non-wine drinkers will be like, I'll take some bubbles. Yeah. Like, okay, fine. Here you go. And then, so now we're going to transition to the Pinot Noir. Do you want to talk about this one?
Know someone moving to Oregon? Send them my way. I specialize in relocation, and I'll treat them like family. Plus, there's a glass of wine in it for him. Cheers!
Which one did we pour first?
This was this.
Oh, okay. So, sorry, don't forget the ears.
Cheers.
Cheers. So we're trying this in the Riedel Oregon Pinot Noir glass.
Yes.
So while this looks like, any shape, Riedel spent time and money and effort to specifically design an Oregon Pinot Noir glass.
Yes. And some people ask me, does the glass matter? What's your take on it?
I can't roll my eyes and exasperate enough to go, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to digress here a little bit. Shape of the glass. So like the yeast choices, like the fermentation, whole berry, whole cluster, crushed, open top tank, closed tank, all those decisions. So the shape of the glass. So you'll notice how there's very little wine in here relative to the size. I mean, this is a more than an ounce pour. But this large bowl allows for a large surface area of the wine to evaporate, allowing it to aromatize, obviously. And then it's got this little tulip lip, so it doesn't all escape. So when you put your nose in it, it concentrates it towards your nose so that you can smell it. Something a lot of people forget, you notice I'm feeling the lip here. If you feel this Riedel glass, it's smooth all the way up. There's not a little bump of a lip from a molded glass like a restaurant. Sometimes glass, they're sturdier, and you notice it's got a little bead on the inside. So why that's important, when I tilt this up and I let the wine pour onto my tongue, it's not going to lift the wine up and skip the tip of my tongue, driving the wine towards the back of the tongue first and then allowing it to come forward. Because how our tongue tastes, sweet, sour, salt, and bitters in the back. So if you drive the wine to the back, your first hit is just going to be bitter. But most people, you put food in your mouth and it goes from the front of the tongue to the back. So just that little lip on the edge of the glass
changes everything.
Is super key to the presentation of the wine. That's when you tilt it up to taste it. But the aroma, the shape of the glass. So you'll see sparkling wine, it has the tall, skinny glass in there. So that really, it helps. So you have less surface area on the bottom, so you're not going to degas the wine quicker if you put it into a big bowl. But it also really concentrates the aroma.
Yeah. And then for novice wine drinkers, some people think you swirl all wines.
Yeah.
Do you want to
Thank you for saying that.
Give direction on
you
that?
know where I was going to say. So, I mean, you swirl your wine. Why do you swirl your wine? And
does it matter if you go counterclockwise or clockwise?
For me, looking at legs is very old school, old world. Back, before you had stainless steel refrigerated tanks and modern filtration techniques and etc. So why would you look at the legs? So the legs are when the wine evaporates and it forms a string. So you're looking at viscosity. Well, what can affect viscosity? Sugar content. So, and or alcohol content. So you'd look at the legs. How fast do they form? How fast do they disappear? How fast do they run? So a sweet wine is going to have thick legs that last. They're quite persistent. So you could maybe tell how sweet a wine is by how long the legs last, or how alcoholic the wine is by how fast the legs form and then disappear. But this is nothing scientific, because I could have a high alcohol wine, put a little bit of sugar in it, and it totally messes up that whole discussion.
Yeah.
So it's, for me, and I know I might get some flack for this, it's really a non-thing. It's just enjoying appreciating the wine, looking at the legs. So we swirl it to put a thin film on the glass so it can evaporate quicker, so we can smell it. So the shape and the size of the glass is going to have an effect on how much aroma you have.
Does it matter if you go clockwise or counterclockwise?
Well, are you above the equator or below the equator?
Yeah, okay. That's why I'm just asking.
I don't think
These
so.
are all questions people have asked me before, because they know I like wine, and I was like, oh, I'm not like.
So the faux pas
Yeah.
is swirling sparkling wines. If you swirl it, you're going to, it's like taking your soda
And shaking it.
and shaking the can, and the gas comes out, and then your soda pop is flat.
Right.
So the faux pas, don't swirl your sparkling wines. Just
Okay.
look at it and enjoy it.
And enjoy it.
Yeah. So what we have here is our Wolf Hill Vineyard. So the very first vineyard planted in 82 was our Oak Grove. So the companion vineyard to that, if you walk out there and you didn't know, the dirt path between the vineyard, so one is low and flat and the other one goes up a hill, Wolf Hill. Two different soil types completely. I mean, you can, in the summertime, you could see the dark brown, light brown, sandy as it moves up and it turns red, and, more clayey. That's the Wolf Hill. So this is Wolf Hill, and it's a single clone, 667. I'll talk about that in a minute. And it's also a single rootstock, RG, the initials for Riparia Gloire. So when you hear Riparia, think riparian, or creekside or wet, wet zone. So Wolf Hill, 667 on RG. I have 667 on 3 different rootstocks at Wolf Hill, but I only have enough of this fruit to make 6 barrels of wine. So that's less than 150 cases. And remember, we make 50,000 cases of wine. So this is super select. And I only use American oak barrels, and I specifically get them from Demtos Cooperage, American oak from Demtos Cooperage, and I specify the forest. I want it from Missouri, and they're all heavy toasted head barrels. So when I say heavy toast, everyone has a toaster at home, and you've got your selector knob, and you've got white and crunchy to black and smoking. So this is, black and almost smoking.
Okay.
It's not charred, but it's black inside. So this is what I describe as the most hedonistic wine I make. It's from one vineyard, one clone on one rootstock, and I only use this particular barrel from a specific forest, from a specific cooperage, and we only make 150 of 50,000 cases of this.
You were the first winemaker that I've talked to that has said that about barrels, like specifically, like even getting to choose from a forest. I didn't even realize that was an option.
Oh, it has been a huge thing from France for years, for decades. I don't know, more than decades, pre-existing me, but there's several main forests in France. So there's Allier, Trancé, Juppy, I always Nevers, Navarre, and the center of France. So like growing grapes. So say you have a mother vine of Pinot Noir, and I take 3 cuttings and I root them, and I plant one in France, and I plant one in Oregon, and I plant one in Otago, New Zealand. It was the same mother vine, out on rootstock. So, but it's trellised the same, it's sprayed the same, as same as you could possibly have it. And then you pick that fruit and you make it in a clinical university settings where everything is controlled, and the wines are going to be different because of what was the soil type.
And
when did the rain
temperature
happen, how much rain did it happen, et cetera, et cetera. So
Yeah.
same is true of that oak tree. So because is it in the north of France, the center of France, the south, east, west? What's the soil type? You know, is there more clay, more sand, more marl, more limestone? Is those minerals are really going to affect it. And then the amount of rain and when winter comes or goes away affects the grain width of it, you know, the density of that oak. And then how did you toast it? You know, did you air dry that wood for 2 years or 3 years or more before you constructed it into a barrel? So I mentioned Allier and Tronchet. Allier is a region where the forest is, but within that Allier region, there's a 300-year crop circle.
Oh my gosh.
So they will plant tens of thousands of trees per hectare, actually physically plant these seedlings. And then in 3 or 4 years, as they get to about knee high, anything that's bent, twisted, cracked, damaged, they'll just pull them out. And then they go back in another 8 years, and so now they're overhead height again. Anything that's got branches too low or bent, twisted, cracked, disease, damage, they'll remove.
Interesting.
What they're doing is they densely pack this wedge of this crop circle, forcing the trees to grow tall and straight. So after 300 years, you get to the oldest section of the wedge, the pie of the crop circle. These trees are massively tall with no branches for meters going up. So it has this long, tall, straight grain with no knots. So that is the most premium wood you could get. Because if you have a knot and you have a branch or you have a crack or a disease in it, you know, it's not going to make a liquid tight barrel. So you make it into furniture or flooring or something other. So the highest use purpose is for making wine barrels.
That's crazy.
So this forest was planted by one of the you know, old French kings. That was when ships were made out of oak and they needed strong wood to build warships.
Sure.
Hey, you know, his minister said, let's plant a forest and let's manage it so we can do ships. Well, by the time 300 years came around, we're making ships out of steel. So
Right. Yeah, it didn't matter. That's so interesting. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. No one has ever gone into detail about that with me before. So
now I can buy oak from Pennsylvania or Missouri or even Oregon oak.
Right.
And they have different flavors.
Yeah. And they
most the same species of oak.
Right. That's interesting. Sorry to derail us onto the oak, but I was like, you were the first one to ever mention that. And I was like, what?
So part of that never-ending science experiment.
Yes, I see.
Same with the yeast. I have barrel salesmen come in every year. You know, hey, our barrels are the best. So when I'm feeling generous, I will order 4 barrels. I'll put 2 in red, 2 in white.
Yeah.
I will taste them, trial them, and if I like it,
Then
I'll say maybe I didn't like it in Chardonnay, but I liked it for Pinot Noir. So I'll buy 4 barrels again, but this time, like the yeast, I'll put it in the same vineyard lot and a different one to see if it translates. And if it's really outstanding, then maybe I'll buy 40 barrels.
Yeah.
And you know, make it part of my permanent rotation.
Right. Interesting. That's crazy. Thank you again for sharing that. That was so interesting. Anything else you want to say about this Pinot Noir specifically?
My wife calls this Pinot Noir for cab drinkers. So
that's funny.
We'll get people into the tasting room, and you know, some are new to wine drinking or limited in their preference. Well, I only drink big, dark, heavy reds. I don't like Pinot Noir. It's too thin or it's too soft or whatever. And so you pour a glass behind the counter, everything. You say, here, try this. Well, what is it? And I go, well, you tell me before I.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is great. Is this cap? No, it's Pinot Noir. And then you pull the bottle out and they go, you tricked me. Jinx. Owe me a bottle of wine. So because it's 667. So here's some geekiness for me as the winemaker. So, and I told you I like to speak in analogies. I give a lot of wine tours, and we're talking clones, and inevitably and rightfully so, someone will ask, so what do you mean by clone? So I know everyone's been to the grocery store and everyone's been to the produce section, and there's a wall of apples. You've got green ones and red ones and yellow ones and green
Fuji,
ones with
pink
red
ladies,
stripes.
all the things. Yeah.
Red ones with yellow dots, and some are crisp, some are soft, some are sour, some are sweet, some are dry and pithy. Why would you want to eat that?
Right.
But they're all apples.
Right.
So translate that to Pinot Noir. You've got clones, which typically are numbered. In Oregon, we have 113, 114, 115, 528, 828, 0502. You've got selections, which tend to have names like Pommard, Village in France, Bonsville, Mariafeld, Wente clone, Curry clone. So for me, what's more important than the number, the name, is berry size. So for me, it's about, and I'm doing hand signals here, skin to juice ratio. So another analogy, and this is totally for analogy. So think of balls for sports. You've got marbles, really small.
Right.
You've got ping pong balls. You've got a baseball. You got a softball. You got a basketball. So imagine all of those balls, the skin on it is the same thickness, whether it's a marble or it's a basketball. So if you got a basketball,
that's a lot.
You got a thin skin. That's a lot of juice for very little skin versus a marble.
Right.
So for me, 667 is the ping pong ball.
Got it. Okay.
Or the 777 is a marble. So for me, 777 is not my favorite clone. I know a lot of wineries love it. A lot of winemakers love it. It makes a deep, dark, heavy brooding wine. But that's not what I want to make.
Sure.
So 667 has, to me, the perfect skin to juice ratio. So I can make it dark if I want, and I can do different things with it and steer it in different directions more easily than I can a Vonsville or a Pommard, which at the time in the 70s when things were being planted, that was what was available.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was self-rooted and has since been removed due to phylloxera, but maybe replanted on rootstock, which has helped us to beat the rains. And now we need to consider rootstocks to help us beat the heat and the drought.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. So, those varieties or clones and selections are going to change here in the next 10 years as vines are being removed and perhaps replanted with the changing of the guard.
Yeah. Interesting.
So this is Pinot Noir from Wolf Hill Vineyard, 667. And I mentioned RG is Riparian Loire. So this is a rootstock that typically would be used to plant in deep, wet soils to resist the uptake of water. But we planted it in absolutely the wrong spot. It's at the top of the hill in volcanic, rocky soil, which is dry. So it forces this fruit to mature, ripen quickly before it goes dormant when it runs out of water. And since it ripens so quickly, it doesn't have time to lose a bunch of acidity, which helps balance the high sugar. Because there's a high skin to juice ratio, it's very deep and brooding, which is kind of over the top, which then matches it well with a high intensity oak barrel. And I mentioned the American oak Demptos, heavy tostos.
Yeah.
So there's only 6 barrels of this. 4 of them are brand new, never been used before, so they get the full impact. And the other 2 of the 6 are previously used once. So it works out to be 66.66666 or 66.7% new oak, which wasn't intentional. It was just someone asked me, so how much new oak is in this? And I did the math. 66.7. And it's 667 clone Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
So that was not intentional. It was just serendipitous.
Yeah, I love that. And then what are we wrapping up with today? And again, another glass.
No, we're going to do another.
Do this one?
Yep.
Thank you.
Cover that a little bit.
And which Pinot is this one?
You know my mic here. So this is also a Wolf Hill Vineyard Pinot Noir, but it's not a single clone. It's a field blend. So as we plant and replant vineyards, we're always left with a few extra vines. And so for almost 2 years, we had a little bit of 114 and 115 and different rootstocks, some 667 and some Pommard. And we were having to prune it and keep watering it, and they were getting root bound, and there was just, what are we going to do with these vines? We paid good money for them. We don't want to throw them away.
Yeah.
In 2005, on the top of our Wolf Hill Vineyard was what I called a grassy knoll. My wife goes, grassy knoll, my beep. And I qualify that because that's where I got married. on the top of Wolf Hill, a beautiful view of the valley. And so, I'm in my nice new suit and nice leather shoes with flat, wide soles. And she was trying to come up through the vineyard. And I shouldn't say trying, she did. She walked up through the vines and then emerged from the vines onto the grassy knoll in high heels and a dress. And she goes, it was, dirt clouds and gopher holes.
Right. Yeah. Not so easy.
I look at it, from a different perspective, the grassy knoll.
Totally.
So that was the summer of 2005. And leading up to that, our vineyard manager, Jim, prior to Antonio, he watered it for us and kept it mowed and made it beautiful and everything. And said, we should plant the top of this hill. I mean, there's quite a couple of acres up here. And we got all those vines in the greenhouse. So we just took all that mishmash of Pinot Noir grapevines and planted the top of the Wolf Hill vineyard.
Wow.
So again, 4 years later, so this is 2009, we harvest the fruit. I picked it as a block because there wasn't a row of, it was that I use for Pinot Noir, and then it just happened to be not by any specific forethought. It had some French oak and some American oak. I knew that the juice tasted good and the wine tasted good, so I'm let's put it in some new barrels. Let's try some French oak, try some American oak. Again, an experiment, never ending.
Totally.
So after fermentation and everything is in the barrel and we're letting it finish through malolactic, before I give it its first big dose of sulfur to help preserve the wine, I taste all the barrels. And as I'm tasting these barrels, I go, wow, this one's good. This one's good too. This whole lot is good.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the barrel, it was the lot.
Right.
So I took and I realized, that was from the field where I got married. So I took a sample and I took it home and let my wife taste it. And she goes, what is this? And I go, well, you taste it first.
Yeah.
She goes, oh, this is really good. It's really fruity and I love the texture of this. I go, well, this is the fruit that we planted on the site where we got married at Wolf Hill. And she goes, oh, you should call this wedding block. So I give my wife Nancy credit for naming this wine.
Thank you, Nancy.
So this is a field blend of various Pinot Noirs on various rootstocks planted on the top in the thin, rocky, volcanic, Jory soils on top of our Wolf Hill vineyard. And it's, about 25% new oak, half American Dubtos, and half French oak. So it's a marriage of clones and rootstocks and a marriage of French and American oak barrels.
Yeah.
That was planted on the hillside where I got married.
I love it.
So wedding block Pinot Noir from Wolf Hill.
Cheers to you and cheers to Nancy. It's so good.
So I'm hoping what you're noticing that this one is a lot more fruit forward.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not so barrel intensive. Not that one was just all barrel.
Yeah.
But there was more tannin from that skin to juice ratio, and then complementing it. I mean, literally complementing by having a more intense oak, but then aging it for 18 to 20 months, where this one's only 12 months in oak, but there's some tight grain French oak that gives it some texture without having to add a lot of toast.
Yeah, for sure. I do notice a difference between the two. I think they're both delicious. I mean,
these blocks are side by side, but because of the clone and the rootstock, and then this a blend of everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could just smell this one all day.
And I should make a Pinot cologne. That'd smell good.
Okay.
And we're wrapping up with, what's this one?
Okay, so you were asking what wines that we wanted to have to show here. And so I have, some selections in view here. So my favorite wines, what are my passions? So if you come to my house, I have a refrigerator in the garage, literally just for wine.
Yeah.
And I don't drink a lot of wine. People think, you're a winemaker, you must drink a lot of wine. But if I'm drinking something, it's usually sparkling.
Sure.
Or it's port.
Okay.
So I don't have access to Portuguese varietals of grapes, but I have always had access to Cabernet Sauvignon, which has a thick skin. And that's why Cab tends to be, darker and heavier in body and texture, because the berries are small and the skin is really thick relative to Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
So in 1996, I'm the assistant winemaker. The Port Institute has this traveling roadshow. They travel the world. Well, they came to Portland. And so at the Portland Convention Center, they had set up in one of the rooms, and they had, I don't know how many port houses, bringing wines. And so the industry was invited. So I went to this Port Institute roadshow and was tasting all these ports, and I had never really been exposed to port before. I was like, wow, this is so good. This is so good. And I just got really hammered tasting all these ports. And so the next day I showed up at work and I went to the winemaker at the time and mentioned,
I have a new love. It's called port.
Can I make some port? And he was like, okay. Didn't want to tell me no. He says, well, what would you make it from? And I go, Cabernet, probably, because we get Cabernet from the Columbia Valley, Oregon side, and or the Applegate Valley. And goes, okay, why not? Let's do that. So come harvest time, took 1 ton and crushed it, fermented it for a few days. So to make port and why it's sweet, the alcohol comes from fortification. You add brandy to it. So brandy is distilled wine.
Right.
So to preserve the sugar, you only ferment for 3 or 4 days to break up the skins and get the color out of it. And then you fortify it with brandy to the level of alcohol you want, let it soak overnight, and then you press it and you age it. That alcohol, that high alcohol, 18%, will arrest fermentation, leaving you a bunch of residual sugar.
Okay.
So I took Cabernet Sauvignon and crushed it, introduced yeast, tracked it every day. About 3rd or 4th day, we glugged in to that 1 ton, about 50 gallons of 165 proof unaged brandy or eau de vie, and let it soak overnight, pressed it, and put it in a barrel. My plan was that I wanted to make a few barrels of port every year and start building an inventory that I could blend to like a 10-year tawny port.
Okay.
So 2 years later is when I left Eola Hills. A year and a half after that, I came back. So in January of 2000, as the new winemaker for Eola Hills, one of the things I needed to do was taste through all these wines and see where they are and analyze them. And I came to the port, and I'm tasting the 96, 97, and 98. That's the last one that I had made while I was here. And it's like, wow, this is fantastic. So I got a sample, went into the office, poured it for Tom, and he goes, what is this? And I go, well, you try it first. Because
that's always
it's inevitable, you go, oh, this lovely, this, that, and that, the other. That's what everyone sees and senses. So he tastes it and he goes, oh, it's so sweet. And I go, yeah, it's a port style wine made from Cabernet. And it's like, when did we make this? 1996. And so this is 2000. He's like, we need to be selling this. We're not making any money, having it sit in barrel for so long.
Totally.
I only had 4 barrels. So I compromised it myself without necessarily letting Tom know that I bottled only 2 barrels of it as a late bottled vintage. So following Portuguese tradition.
Yeah.
It's from a single vintage. It's not vintage port, but it had aged a minimum of 4, no more than 6. Yeah. And so we bottled a late bottle vintage port and sold right through it in the tasting room full retail. So then Tom's like, oh, we need to make more of this. And I go,
you're like, it takes time.
You're in luck. I made some in 1997. So we bottled the next 2 barrels. So I kept 2 barrels of the 96, the 97, the 98. I wasn't here in 99 or 2000 during harvest. So those vintages are mixed. But I've made a batch every year since then. So this is a 2001 Colheita, following Portuguese tradition. So single barrel, 6 months before I bottled it. So when I bottled this wine, it was 6 months away from, 20 years and 6 months. It was 6 months away from being able to drink itself.
Oh my gosh. And why do we drink port in a smaller glass?
Well, because it has such high alcohol in it. You don't need a full 4-ounce pour of it. It's just a little sniff. It's a taste, a digestif. It's something wonderful. So this is Cabernet Sauvignon, port-style wine that aged in barrel for 20 years before I bottled it.
That's amazing.
So it's sweet. Alcohol is approaching 20%.
Yeah.
I fortified it to 16.5, but after 20 years through evaporation, it's concentrated. And I am going to start describing this wine. I mean, I get a little bit of molasses. I get dried figs, some almond. I mean, all the classic port stuff that you're going to get from Portuguese style wine, but Cabernet from the Applegate Valley.
I love that. With port, so like with some of the other wines, you can only have a bottle open for so long before it starts to turn. But with port, because you drink it a little bit at a time, is that the same? Can you have?
Well, it's sat in a barrel
right
20 years.
Right.
Not
So
ever
it's fine.
topped, exposed to the air so that it can oxidize. So this is a wine where if you pour a glass of wine and you put the cork in it and put it in the kitchen cabinet and you forget about it for 10 years, it's still good.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
How long would you say for the other wines? Would people open them?
When you open them, well, the sparkling wine, if you don't finish it, you're going to lose a bunch of the CO2.
Right.
Just the headspace is going to try to equalize
Totally.
pressure, and you're going to lose pressure, and it's going to become flat.
Yeah.
Red wines have a capacity to sit on the kitchen counter a little bit longer because they have tannin in them, and that tannin is the antioxidant portion of it.
Yeah.
White wines have a lot less tannin, and we compensate for that as winemakers by adding more sulfites to combat oxidation. So white wines last a lot less time open, exposed, whereas a red wine.
Sure.
So, sounds like a simple question, a complex answer, because it also comes down to winemaking style and philosophy as far as SO2. So, Tom always likes to tout when he's talking about Eola Hills and our wines and his wine. He said, he uses my names. Steve is really good about, the SO2, because I had measures amount based on pH, versus, how Dad or Grandpa taught me. Oh, we got a 50 gallon barrel of wine, and I always add a cup of sulfur, regardless of pH. No matter what the harvest was. It's like my grandpa or great grandpa said, add this much. So that's just the recipe. But I'm using science and technology to add an appropriate level based on the pH. So some years it's a little more, some years a little less, but it's a measured amount. So I'm not trying to keep a wine that could sit open on the counter for a month.
No.
By
But there are
overcompensating
some
with
that's like,
sulfites, that's
if you
going to
don't
give
drink
you a
it in 2
headache or
days,
smell
it's gross.
sulfury. So
Yeah. So that's why I was asking, because there's some wines that you can have on your counter for a week and they taste fine, and there's some that it's like 2 days and it turns. So that's why I was just curious.
So it depends. And I know that is
Right.
that's the worst answer anyone ever gives.
But it's honest.
It is true.
Yeah, that's honest. I appreciate all of your knowledge and sharing all your stories with us today and your delicious wine. Thank you so much for your time. Cheers one more time to you. And cheers to everyone listening and watching. I hope to see you next week. Bye.